There had been no rocket or missile testings which could have accounted for the lights. The objects did not show up on any radar readings.
Now I'm off to talk to David Russo about his USO experience. Now what's significant about David Russo's USO sighting is that after the sighting, he took the time to make a sketch of the craft while the details were fresh in his mind. And the more information we have, the closer we are to solving the mystery of USOs around Catalina.
I live in Long Beach, and a couple of blocks from the ocean.
David Russo, a retired attorney, reportedly witnessed bright lights over the channel on August 4th, 2006, while walking along the shoreline.
Late at night, about 11:30, 11:35, a bright white light off to the west, out near San Pedro, caught my eye. And it was moving towards the water at a very steep angle, moving pretty quickly. It got to a point maybe a half a mile out in front of me, and it just stopped.
Over the water? On the water?
Over the water, maybe 10, 15, 20 feet above the water. The shorter side had 3 or 4 blue lights on it, and the longer side seemed to have 6 or 8 blue lights.
Okay.
It rotated and did this for about a half a minute to 45 seconds. Then the blue lights went off, and it just, from a stopped, went out towards Catalina Island, and less than a second. I rather would have not seen it.
You think life would be easier if you just hadn't seen it?
And now there's this little piece back here that just is always wondering and always thinking, what the heck did I see? And will I ever know?
Is it possible that a USO somehow brought down pilot Noah Felice's single-engine aircraft in these same waters in 1980?
That's a tail of an airplane, right there. That's it.
The dark, mysterious waters surrounding Catalina Island, one of the most active hotspots on Earth for reported USO sightings, unidentified submerged objects. On January 26, 1980, a pilot's reported encounter with a USO above the Santa Catalina Channel left one man dead and has become one of the seminal USO events in history. Noah Felice, a pilot with 14 years' experience, and his cousin Mark take off from Catalina Island, heading toward Las Vegas in Noah's 1972 Piper Cherokee. According to Felice, he spots an object in the water. As he loops around to get a better look, the unidentified object suddenly shoots out a beam of light that renders Noah's plane inoperable. Moments later, the plane falls over 1,000 feet into the deep waters of the channel. Noah is rescued. His cousin Mark does not survive.
And it's an important case for 3 big reasons. One, it's current. You're not talking about some 60-year-old case where all the witnesses are gone. 2, Noah's a pilot. He's a trained observer. He knows what he's looking for. He's not given to fantasies. 3, that credibility is tested in court because Noah Felice is a private investigator. In every single case, he's on the witness stand, he's testifying. It's as credible as you can get. It's a great story. We're excited to investigate. So why don't you tell me what it was like as you took off from here 28 years ago and flew out to the island?
We took off, and just out of the clear blue sky, my little cousin told me he had 5 to 6 months to live.
This was a person you'd known since you were what?
Grew up together. We were as close to biological brothers, I think, as 2 males could get. Once he said that, then they had 5 or 6 months to live. I was going to get a vector in the air and go right straight to Las Vegas and kind of lighten the mood.
So basically you were just going to head off to Vegas and spend some time together because you didn't know how long you really had.
Noah and Bill board a plane to fly Noah's original route from 1980.
You took off from here, and what happened then?
We were flying along, and I started to get very strange feelings, kind of like when the hair goes back under your back, and I see a very strange object in the water about the size of 2 houses. No definitive shape that I can see because of the water.
From here, Felice's account takes a radical turn. He says that as he came around to get a closer look at the craft, he saw figures.
On the top of this object was a door. It wasn't really a person, but it wasn't not a person. I didn't know what to think. That's why I decided to make a turn and come around back and get a better view.
And what happened then?
We got struck with a beam of light.
According to Felice, after he made this turn, he was blinded with an extremely bright light emanating from this object. The light tracked the plane for the next 34 seconds. At the same time, it seemed to also take control of the plane's instrumentation.
It was alive. It was like a liquid light. That's when sound started shutting off. You couldn't feel the vibration in the chair from the engine. And we got hit with a second beam.
The second beam, according to Felice, took even more control over the plane, finally bringing it to its tragic fate.
The inside of the airplane was glowing, and I knew we were moving because the light was becoming more intense. And it seemed as though we would pass through not a doorway physical, but a doorway of a port or some sort of framework of the light. And then it was bang.
Noah, along with his cousin Mark's body, were recovered by a Baywatch patrol craft 20 minutes later. Upon impact, Noah believes he would have been thrown from the cockpit. His seatbelt would have been torn, and the windshield would have been certainly destroyed. But no such trauma occurred. Noah only sustained a concussion and a broken leg. Noah is convinced that he was somehow rescued by the USO, and he further believes that when the plane is found underwater by the team, both seatbelts will be fastened and the windshield will be fully intact.
It was unbelievable. I was freezing. I remember blood everywhere. I mean, it was horrible. It was bad. I was dead for 15 to 20 minutes before they found me.
Dead for 15 to 20 minutes? That's close to a medical impossibility. Theoretically, after blood stops reaching your brain for something like 5 to 7 minutes, your brain cells shrink and you become brain dead.
And the other thing, I don't understand why the sharks didn't get me.
We're going to go down to the bottom of that trench, and if that plane's down there, we're going to bring it up. Let's see what we can find. We've just flown the route with Noah Felice to see where the USO shot him down. Now, it's up to Pat to get out there to find the wreck. Noah said he doesn't remember getting out of the cockpit, but he had no cuts or scratches on him. How did he get out of a cockpit if not through the windshield? Is the seatbelt attached? If it's attached, that gives credibility to his story that the aliens took him out of the seat. And what about the instruments? If we find an instrument magnetically locked in a certain position, it'll tell us what hit that plane.
To solve this case, we've got to find that plane.
Let's shove off. Coming up now on our first point, where the Avalon Sheriff Station is saying their report says the wreckage lies, which is on Empire Landing. The Isthmus Baywatch says it's over in Ripper's